What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk Hockey here, back again with another video. Today I'm going to be talking about some pretty substantial quotes and big news, I guess you could call it, coming from Elliotte Friedman regarding the Toronto Maple Leafs and potential defensemen that they could be going after. And we're going to get into all the cap implications and Mitch Marner and everything else in this video. So if you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe, join the squad. I'd love to have you guys here. I know a ton of you guys watching right now aren't subscribed or even liking the video. It does help me a lot, even if you disagree with me. You could dislike the video also. That does help because then it tells me to switch it up. But we're not going to waste any more time. I want to address something right off the bat. People are going to say, but what about the cap? What about how much money they have? We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. There is very, very, very detailed information and some not so detailed information that will tell you that the Maple Leafs can make some moves in the offseason. But let's get to the initial hit that Elliotte Friedman put out there. And that is, there's a belief that the Leafs could be after two of the big defensemen hitting the market this summer. Some of those names include Zadorov, Pesce, Walker, Tanev, and Montour. Given the asking price of most of these players, it will be interesting to see who they get, but it's expected they will make a push for at least one, if not two defensemen. Now, that's kind of like paraphrased through Elliotte Friedman. Now, again, I told you about this cap thing. Before you go type in that they don't have the money, the Maple Leafs have two versions of this quote, okay? There's the one where they trade Mitch Marner, and there's the one where they can't or they don't, right? They will get one of these guys. I'm actually pretty comfortable saying that the Maple Leafs are going to get one of those guys. If they trade Marner, they could get two because the money will go away from Mitch Marner and then they will invest in there. So this is not accurate. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen. This is just very brief of what I think is a possibility. The cap is $88 million. The Maple Leafs, with $12 million remaining, and I'll tell you how I got there, re-signing Max Domi, because I think it's inevitable that he's going to come back 4 years at $4 million. I know some people are not going to like that, but I think this is what they're going to settle on if he does come back. Easton Cowan making the jump to the Maple Leafs, and the Leafs giving Nick Robertson a 1 year, $1.5 million deal. Now, you could just eliminate Robertson, and you could just insert Ryan Reeves and move around this bottom six. You could do that. He doesn't have to be signed. I just did this purely for depth, right? There's still a chance that they bring back Tyler Bertuzzi, but that's if they trade Mitch Marner, because I also re-signed Timothy Liljegren to $1.5 million. Again, they don't have to do this, but I did it for depth. So in this scenario, the Leafs would need two defensemen and a goaltender with about 12.9, so about $13 million. So, yeah, you could go out there and get a cheaper guy to play right here. You could get an expensive guy to play here, and you could get a tandem goalie for Joseph Woll. You can do that with $13 million. Will it be the best options? Probably not, but you will have the money, right? If they trade Mitch Marner, we're going to put him on LTIR. The reason I do that is because the cap gets put up here, right? They have almost $24 million to probably sign Tyler Bertuzzi and then get a couple defensemen and a goalie. And they could easily do that with that money, right? So I don't think the Maple Leafs will be swinging at two massive names from that class. So like Montour and Zadorov are probably going to get the most money, right? From what we've been hearing. I think the Leafs could get one of those names and then one of the lesser names, or maybe even one big name and a name that's not even on here, right? Like Roy, right? There's another guy. There's a few other interesting guys out there, but the Maple Leafs could make it work, right? Even if they kept Marner, they could make some things work. So it's very possible that the Maple Leafs, again, in that scenario too, you wouldn't even have to sign Nick Robertson. You could go out there, just put Reeves in there, re-sign Bertuzzi, and you'd have the money to do stuff for the blue line and the goaltender. If they had no Marner, they also are probably acquiring a defenseman or a forward in the trade, and then that will obviously that'll lessen the cap space a little bit, but they're going to get pieces back that could help them add to this roster as well. So to say that they can't make the move, they can do it with or without Marner. It's just I don't think they can get two if they still have Marner. They could get one big name if they have Marner. People saying they don't have cap space, it's not true. They look at the team from the last couple years and say, oh, they've got no money, they can't do anything, they don't update their information. The Maple Leafs can do things, and they will. See what I did there? We can and we will. Kind of like Kyle Dubas. No, I'm just kidding. We're not doing that anymore. That's done. But Nikita Zadorov, right? This is a big, bruising, 6'6" defenseman. This is a guy I'd love the Leafs to go after. And I know some people are going to disagree with this, but I think this guy's going to get severely overpaid. Now, he made $3.7 million. He's getting double that easily in the open market. You know, he's not going to put up a ton of points, but coming back from Calgary, or going from Calgary to Vancouver, this guy was like a different beast. He played so well. The Maple Leafs were in on him as well. The Leafs wanted to get Zadorov and Tanev at one point. That probably changes the way the Maple Leaf season goes. Zadorov would be a great fit with the Maple Leafs. This guy would be super physical. He's a great character, but I honestly think Vancouver's going to do whatever they can to keep him around. So I don't know if the Maple Leafs will be able to get him. Now, an interesting name here, Pesce. This is a guy that can give you some points, but again, more than likely going to be getting a nice upgrade on contract after being at $4 million. He'll give you points. You know, when he's healthy, he's really stable. He's a really good defensive defenseman. So I would love for the Leafs to get Pesce. This has been a guy that I've wanted them to get for a long time. So as long as he's healthy, as long as the number comes in at a nice number, I think that Pesce is probably a really good fit for this Maple Leafs team. Sean Walker, a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He can play both sides. 29 years old, not really an older guy. You could see he hasn't really made a ton of money, $2.6 million, so he's going to be getting a nice raise. He'll give you a few points here and there. He does well. He's stable. He gives you those top 4 minutes that you need. He'll give you probably 15 to 18 minutes a night, maybe a little bit more than that. Just solid. And again, more than welcome to be a Maple Leaf. This is a guy that would make this blue line substantially better. They need stable guys like a Sean Walker, like a Pesce, that will give you those minutes where you almost don't even have to know if they're on the ice. I love guys like that, where they're on the ice, it's like, okay, everything's on lockdown. Everything's good. So there's another guy like that. And again, the health factor comes into this guy, Chris Tanev, 34 years old, from Toronto. You know, this is a guy that's really interesting because I really like Tanev, but I'm worried about his number. So $4.5 million was his last contract. He blocks a lot of shots. He plays really well defensively, but the health is a scare. And the number and the term will likely be a little bit of a scare. So if he's willing to come to Toronto and he wants to take a bit of a pay cut, if he wants to play here and, you know, be a solid top 4 guy, great. But I think this is a guy that's going to get a lot more money than he probably should. And again, I can't believe I'm even saying this. I love Chris Tanev. Don't get me wrong. Go back and watch my old videos. I talk about Tanev all the time. If he signed as a Leaf this season, I would be pumped, like more than excited. Forget the number. As a fan, I would just be excited. But I'm worried about the term. I'm worried about the AAV, and I'm worried about his health. So unless he wants to come here and maybe give the Leafs a more friendly contract, which I don't think he should, and I don't think it makes sense for him to do that, that's probably the best case scenario. But I'm not too sure the Maple Leafs are going to be willing to give him a bunch of money if he's going to be a guy that potentially gets hurt quite often. So that leads us to the big fish, and that's Brandon Montour. This guy puts up huge numbers, and when you look at his cap, this guy's going to double this number with ease. He's probably going to be in the $6.5 to $7 million range with ease. Look at the numbers that he puts up. He can score nearly 20 goals as a defenseman in the playoffs. He's been dynamite. This dude's probably winning the Stanley Cup. And I've said that from round 1. I said the Panthers were going to win the Cup. Don't hate me, but I did say that was going to happen. But this would be a massive move. But do I think the Maple Leafs are going to do it? No. I don't think Montour is a guy that would sign in Toronto, first of all. And I also don't believe that the Leafs are going to be willing to give up the money to get Montour. I think that they're not going to have the money unless they trade Mitch Marner to get this guy and still upgrade on their blue line. That's why I'm saying like a Pesce, Sean Walker combination might be more realistic, or a Zadorov Walker, or a Zadorov lesser name, or a Pesce, Chris Tanev, something like that. I don't think that they can get the Zadorov and Montours together, especially. Imagine if you got both. But I don't know. I think Montour is fantastic. He's a great guy. He plays the game really well. He can do it very well offensively. He's not the most sound defensively, but he's physical. He's a bit of a rat. He goes out there and does the things that the Panthers do as a team, and he would be a substantial upgrade for this blue line. But I don't think it's going to happen. But those are some names. And now I leave it over to you, and I show you guys that the Leafs can do this, especially if they trade Marner. They could get a couple of these names. Let me know what you guys think. Should they trade Marner and go after a couple of these names? Should they not trade Marner and sign one of the bigger names and, fill in the roster with cheaper players? Let me know what you guys think. If you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. And hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Peace.